My name is Richard Bowl, and I'm on a Greek island. I've actually been living here for, a lot of years, 12, 13, 14 years. I'll explain that in another video. Can I be of some assistance? Can I help this world? Can I be of some service to the future unfolding? I've been here asking myself this all these years, and I suppose I've really been waiting for a time when, like the sky growing dark, that the stars appear, that what I'm going to say is a bit more obvious and not so esoteric, not so vague, not so demanding to understand. When I first came here, I think, had I said the world is at the edge of civilization collapse, people would have said, "Hey, Richard, that's a bit extreme, isn't it?" But it isn't. And it certainly isn't looking at this world now. So this site, I'm going to post videos. I'd like it to be something that those of you who engaged with it know that each day or each couple of days there's something to sink your mental teeth into and process that actually could help. Now, I've been very much of the view that you can't help someone develop their life and evolve, but what you can do is surround them with things that they might need at crucial times to grab hold of and say, that's useful, that helps me to the next step. So I am not trying to set myself up, absolutely not, to tell people what to do with their lives. No, no, no. But I do think, having collected, like shells along the beach, walking along, I've collected wisdoms and insights from human history and from the now, mostly from the now, through myself. And I want to share them. And you don't have to understand all of them. This is not school. This is the academy of life, if you want, where one bit can make all the difference. Some things I say will be high, and some will be just out of reach, into reach. Just something close by that one hadn't noticed that makes all the difference. Now, we're diving into an ocean, an absolute ocean of learning, insight, feelings, senses, life itself. And I've needed a way to describe that ocean without evoking a kind of metaphor that says we might drown in it, which is hardly inviting, or it's so enormous we'll never understand it all. And I want to just introduce myself and this site with one small story, which I'll go into tomorrow, about where I'm going to begin. Some years ago, I was invited to the United Nations. They had got to hear through a third party that my work could be absolutely essential at the United Nations. I met, did course presentations, one-on-one work with ambassadors, diplomats, high-ranking officers, meeting heads of department, really all the way up and down the organization. And in preparation for these sessions, me not really knowing too much about the United Nations, I read the United Nations Charter. And I'm going to go into this tomorrow, and it's not that you need to be interested in the United Nations Charter. We could be doing it through many, many different angles on this ocean. But The Charter begins, and you can look it up on the internet, of course. It's called Preamble. It's the very beginning. And it was written after the Second World War, when the spark of humanity was almost extinguished by the sheer horror of what had gone on this planet, let alone the ecological disaster of 5 years of conflict. And it begins, "We the peoples of the United Nations determined," and they're the first words, they're in bold, in capitals, and I'll go into this tomorrow. And I gave this a lot of thought and wondered whether the UN Charter was still valid for these times. And even more so, I wonder about this today when I talk to my friends who are at the United Nations, who are desperately scratching around to address a multitude of conflicts and feeling that it's failing. And I went back to these words, not to the conflicts, and you'll see this in all that I say and show and share. We have to go back to the template of life, where life makes sense. Now, I then spent recently quite a long time upgrading this charter, and you're going to be the first people to see the upgraded charter, and I'm going to work from it. But again, it is not about the UN or the charter. It's about the way we think about living that has been conditioning us for thousands of years, and I'm taking one segment of that conditioning from the end of the Second World War to now, and showing that it was inevitable that this world would crash, and it's also within that inevitability that a new world appears. But because of the framework or the lack of a template, we cannot see it. And yet, yes, I know I'm lucky to be on a Greek island, but every day this has preoccupied my thoughts. Every day I see it and I want to share it, and I think now is the moment to share it. And let me just translate those words, "We the peoples of the United Nations determined," and I write, it came through me, it formed up in my mindful notation of the processes around this. We, the citizens of this world, that might not sound much, but it's a shift. And these shifts are essential. Because we, that word we, began a new life 80, 90 years ago. Enough people congregated around that word we to say, never again will the scourge of war happen as it has just happened these last 5 years. And what has begun in these words, "We the citizens of this world," is that a new congregation of humans is gathering. You might be one of them listening to this. We're gathering scientists, spiritual leaders, this person, that person, anyone who sense and register the resonance of a new level of we. We, and this is the workbook that I started at the United Nations, we, conscious world citizens, we are a mutuality of lives that sense that something else is still possible. And this book, which I've decided not to release, not to publish, but to do online, and to invite people to join me in the process. We, together, are the beginning platform of a new world. And it begins now. And it's been going on for a while. And the charter that I've written has been brewing since those days at the United Nations till now, where in this dark sky new stars appear. As was said a very long time ago, all the darkness in this world cannot put out the light of a single candle. Each light that is joined to that future is a point of unfolding of a new opportunity. So, engagement. Very keen to know which country you're from. Put it in the comment box or however this works. Very keen to know your questions. Your questions say something about your inner world. I may not answer your questions because this is not a question and answer learning, but reflect upon them, join you as we join each other in the process of unfolding a conscious life. And we begin.